Atomic habits. James Clear imagines scrolling through your phone each morning, the same automatic gesture repeating as your eyes adjust to consciousness. You reach for the device without thinking, fingers finding familiar apps in a dance you've performed thousands of times. In this simple moment lies a profound truth. You are not just living your life, you are being shaped by countless invisible forces, tiny repeated actions that compound silently into the very architecture of who you become. How is it that such small, seemingly insignificant movements can hold such extraordinary power over the trajectory of our existence? At the heart of James Clear's exploration lies a deceptively simple revelation that the smallest changes, when sustained over time, become the most transformative forces in human experience. This is the essence of atomic habits, not grand gestures or dramatic overhauls, but the gentle persistence of incremental improvement. Clear illuminates how a mere 1% daily improvement accumulates into remarkable transformation, suggesting that the secret to meaningful change isn't found in revolutionary moments, but in the quiet consistency of showing up, day after day, to the practice of becoming. What emerges is a question that touches the very core of personal growth. If our habits are the compound interest of self-improvement, how intentional are we being with the investments we make each day? The mathematics of marginal gains reveals something almost mystical about human potential. When you improve by just 1% each day for a year, you don't simply end up 1% better. You become 37 times better than when you started. This exponential nature of small improvements mirrors the way rivers carve canyons, not through forceful crashes, but through persistent, gentle flow against stone. The British cycling team Clear references understood this principle intuitively, finding competitive advantage not in dramatic training overhauls, but in the accumulation of tiny optimizations. Better bike seat positioning, improved tire pressure, enhanced recovery techniques. You begin to see how this principle challenges the very foundation of how modern culture approaches change. Society celebrates the dramatic transformation, the overnight success, the radical life overhaul. Yet these atomic improvements suggest that lasting change operates more like the growth of a tree than the explosion of fireworks, invisible day by day, undeniable year by year. The power lies not in the magnitude of any single action, but in the compounding effect of consistency applied to direction. The framework Clear presents through his 4 laws of behavior chain offers a gentle architecture for transformation that honors both human psychology and practical reality. Making habits obvious acknowledges that awareness precedes change. You cannot alter patterns you don't first recognize. This law invites you into a curious relationship with your own behavior, becoming an observer of your automatic responses rather than their unconscious participant. When you place your running shoes beside your bed or prep your healthy lunch the night before, you're designing your environment to make good choices effortless. Making habits attractive taps into the fundamental human truth that we move toward pleasure and away from pain. But Clear's insight goes deeper. He suggests that attraction can be engineered through environment and social connection. When you surround yourself with people who embody the habits you wish to cultivate, their behavior becomes a magnetic force drawing you towards similar patterns. The habit becomes attractive not only for its immediate reward, but for its identity-shaping power. The 3rd law, making habits easy, perhaps offers the most practical wisdom for our overwhelmed modern lives. The 2-minute rule suggests that any new habit should be scaled down to something achievable in less than 2 minutes. Read 1 page, becomes read 1 paragraph, becomes simply picking up the book. This approach honors a profound truth about human psychology. We are far more likely to continue something we've started than to start something we've been avoiding. By removing friction from good behaviors and adding friction to undesirable ones, you become an architect of your own behavioral environment. What makes Clear's approach particularly compelling for contemporary life is his emphasis on systems over goals. In a culture obsessed with outcomes and achievements, this represents a fundamental philosophical shift. Goals, he suggests, can create a perpetual state of failure. You're either working toward them, feeling inadequate, or you've achieved them temporarily before needing new ones. Systems, however, offer a different relationship with improvement. They focus on the process rather than the destination, creating sustainable frameworks for continuous growth. This systems thinking addresses a peculiar modern paradox. We live in an age of unprecedented access to information about how to improve our lives, yet many feel stuck in patterns that don't serve them. Perhaps this is because we've been approaching change from the wrong angle entirely. Instead of asking what you want to achieve, the Atomic Habits framework invites you to ask who you want to become, then to design small, daily practices that provide evidence for that identity. Consider how this applies to the challenge of digital overwhelm that defines so much of contemporary existence. Rather than setting a goal to spend less time on social media, you might implement a system where your phone charges in another room overnight, where you read one page of a physical book before checking messages, where you take one mindful breath before opening any app. These tiny interventions, repeated consistently, reshape not just behavior but identity gradually. You become someone who uses technology intentionally rather than compulsively. The beauty of atomic habits lies in their accessibility. They require no special equipment, no perfect moment, no ideal circumstances. They can begin immediately, in the midst of whatever imperfect reality you currently inhabit. A single push-up, one mindful breath, writing one sentence, expressing one moment of gratitude, these actions seem almost trivial. Yet when compounded over time, they become the foundation for profound personal transformation. Here lies perhaps the deepest insight. Transformation happens not in moments of peak motivation, but in the mundane repetition of ordinary days. The person you're becoming is being shaped right now, in this moment and the next, by the small choices you make when no one is watching, when it feels like it doesn't matter, when the action seems too small to count. Yet everything counts. Every repetition is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. As you reflect on the atomic habits already present in your life, some serving you, others perhaps working against your deeper intentions, you might ask yourself, what small, consistent action could you begin today that would compound into the person you most want to become? What 1% improvement, sustained over time, might transform not just what you do but who you are? The river doesn't strain against the rock. It simply flows, persistently, gently, until the landscape itself is transformed. Perhaps your own transformation requires not more effort but more patience, not bigger changes but smaller ones, not someday but today in this moment, with the next small choice that shapes the infinite possibility of who you're becoming.